What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast presented by Draftkings. This is the Week 7 college football betting preview. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, fellow BBOC co-host Collin Wilson. A lot to get to today. Man, what a slate that we have. Really from noon Eastern all the way until 3 a.m. after the Hawaii game. There is good games galore. I cannot wait to dig into them. Before we do get started, a couple quick announcements. If you can, leave a quick 5-star review. Really help us out this time of the year. Also, if you use Twitter, make sure you check out @Playbook, the new betting bot from Action. You can turn your screenshot into a bet slip. Just follow @Playbook on Twitter for more info. We'll also have quick slip links in the video and podcast description where you can find and tail some of the bets we discussed in today's episode, or you can visit actionnetwork.com/betnow. Also, a little self-promotion. I'm the new co-host of the New Favorites podcast, which has returned with a new lineup. Recorded an episode earlier today. Episodes Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday with myself, Kendra Middleton, and Brandon Kravitz. Fun episodes. Today was a lot of fun. NFL-centric, but I think you'll like it if you check it out. And before we get started, one final announcement. I'll throw it to myself for a quick word from our sponsor, Draftkings. The Big Bets on Campus podcast is sponsored by Draftkings, and in partnership with Draftkings, we'd like to announce the next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. That's right. New customers turn $5 into $200 if your bet wins, paid instantly in bonus bets. To get started, use promo code BBOC when signing up. Again, that's code BBOC to get on board. The crown is yours. All right, Collin, let's dive in. We got 6 marquee games on the docket.
Big ones.
How you feeling?
Big weekend. I'm not feeling good because I think every single side I like is pretty much the public side, at least from what I can tell from tickets, betting info, early week, late week, midweek, moves made by service plays. I kind of agree with everybody. And, it feels like one of those weekends we're going to get there, but it feels like one of those weekends where the OU is like the completely correct call, and then Mateer like fumbles 4 times within his own 20. One of those games I feel like is coming up this weekend.
So maybe we'll have a ton of head-to-heads this week, because I am definitely not on. I don't really know the public side, but what I would assume is the public side for a lot of these, including the first game, our first marquee game of the day, between Alabama and Missouri. Alabama, as it stands right now, is Alabama 3-point favorite at Missouri. I don't know if we're going to see. You can still get a cheap 3.5 out there on Missouri. I don't know if it's a 2.5 is going to come, but we shall see. Total sitting at 51.5. I like Missouri. I'll make my case here. Number one, I make this under a field goal, so I took the 3.5. Home field is juiced up here. I mean, you can't get much bigger in Columbia for the first. This will be the first top 15 matchup in Columbia since 1979. Missouri coming off of a bye. Eli, by the way, has been extremely profitable as a home underdog. 10-3 against the spread. This is a dream spot. I've had this spot circled all year. You have Missouri coming off a bye. And hey, guess what? Before the bye, they had UMass. Basically had 3 weeks to prepare for this game. Meanwhile, Alabama played a war against Georgia that they could have lost. A war against Vandy without a couple of red zone turnovers they could have lost. And this will be their 3rd straight game against a ranked opponent. So from a preparation, rest, everything, all of that, all the intangibles favor Missouri here. Now, Missouri's undefeated. They look great. They're top 2 in the country in 3rd down offense and 3rd down defense. Their time of possession leads the country, but their strength of schedule. You could just point to everything that I'm about to say and say, well, look, they haven't really played anyone. Their best wins have come over Kansas and South Carolina. They also haven't left home. Well, hey, guess what? They're still going to be at home. I don't know who made their schedule, but I'm assuming it's a Missouri alum. Alabama has definitely played the tougher strength of schedule, but here's why I like Missouri on the field to get it done. Like I just said, Alabama, number one, they lost to Florida State, who hasn't looked great since. They could have lost to Vandy. They didn't get every bounce in that game. And they could have lost to Georgia. They had 2 or 3 losses coming into this game. This would be a whole different conversation. So let's start when Missouri has the ball. I don't think Alabama can stop them. This Alabama defense, it's not special to me. Number one, they're 108th in the country in sacks per game. They cannot stop the run. Do you want to just first of all, Florida State had 40 carries for 260 yards, controlled the game from start to finish. What about Vandy and Georgia the past 2 weeks? They absolutely gashed Alabama. 8 yards per carry, Georgia and Vanderbilt. Get ready to learn Ahmad Hardy, who has 570 yards after contact. That's more than 17 teams have total. Also a really good backup running back. Bo Prabula can use his legs here. Bama can't stop the run. They can't get pressure. This defense is not elite. Now, Ty Simpson is playing extremely well. The Missouri secondary is not elite by any stretch. Alabama is going to move the ball at times, but I also think they're not going to be able to run it. I know they looked a little better with Jam Miller, but this offensive line can't run block. Missouri's run defense is legit, and Missouri does have a legit edge for us. You can't give me the strength of schedule argument. You can just watch them. I mean, Damian Wilson, the Georgia transfer, Zion Young, they both rank in the top 5 among all Power 4 edge rushers in pressure rate. It's a legit pass rush. I think they'll be able to create enough negative plays. But I do think Alabama will have success through the air. Don't mind the over here. But I think Missouri can control the clock, can move the ball, can stay ahead of the sticks. Ahmad Hardy's the real deal. Alabama has not shown me that they can stop a legit offense. And this is a horrible spot for the Tide, who have struggled in true road games over the last few years. 7-13 against the spread since 2021, failing to cover by nearly a touchdown per game. 2-5 against the spread against ranked opponents. I think Missouri can win this game. Anything over a field goal, I love. The one key injury I will point out is Caden Green. The starting left tackle for Missouri. He was out the past 2 games. He's listed as questionable. I think he's more likely than not to play. But if he doesn't, his backup is bad. And I mean, his backup struggled against UMass, gave up 4 pressures, 2 sacks. If he can go, Missouri doesn't have to provide tight end help. They can get Kevin Coleman on the field more often, who's a stud. You just get him the ball in space, and he's a yak monster. But if he can't go, they're probably going to help. It probably reduces the dynamicism of their offense. But I think running the ball, Prabula, who's 64 of 67, throwing 0 to 10 yards. I think that this. I'm not a believer in this Alabama defense. I'm taking the points in a dream spot. I know that guy called and said, we don't talk up Missouri. Well,
yeah,
this is your moment. I'm rolling with the Hardy boys. Give me Mizzou. I assume you like Alabama?
No, I wrote it up for Action Network. Missouri +3, man. We've got
I thought this whole time, I thought you were going to come back.
We've got a graphic rolling out there. The whole company made up for me in this 12.
You smile like this. I don't look anything that you bet. Look about any of these games. So we're putting it on the board already?
Yeah, you can put it on the board. I think that it's not in the app for me. People are going, whoa, Cole, you didn't put it in the app. The reason is because I'm just trying to make a decision between the over or Mizzou. So let me talk through this, and maybe after what you said, we'll make a decision here. But Jam Miller finally showed up against Vandy, 6+ yards per carry on 22 attempts. So maybe that running game that we needed from Alabama can finally show up, because they're still outside the top 100 in rush efficiency. 3 methodical drives, 2 explosive drives against Vandy's defense. It's encouraging because I have not liked Alabama's run game whatsoever. Missouri is outside the top 50 in coverage grading, a poor 109th strength of schedule.
Their secondary's not great. They're going to play a ton of zone, and they're going to try to bait Simpson into a mistake or two. And they're mainly counting on their pressure getting home.
And so for much I love Ty Simpson every week, and I talk about clean windows and how he's throwing a pure ball, 111 completions this season on 158 attempts. There have been 10 drops. 6 of them have been by Ryan Williams. That is insane that he has 6 drops. So like Ty Simpson is throwing an extremely clean ball. Mizzou runs cover 3, which Simpson has just dominated so far. So that's, for me, the logistics behind why I would want to take it over here, because I think Missouri's offense is not going to get stopped whatsoever. I completely agree with you. When you look at what Maud Hardy is doing, he's forced 46 missed tackles. How insane is that? He ranks number 1 in PFF right now in elusiveness, which is a crown to wear proudly. Man blocking schemes, handoffs to Hardy have produced 72% success rate on 60 carries. Missouri and the points, you said the Tide are off 2 physical games with Vandy and Georgia. How much do they have left in the tank? I will say this, Bama was in this exact same spot last year. Vandy, Georgia, back-to-back. Who'd they play? They got at home against South Carolina. They won that game by 2, and they had no business winning that game. Missouri should dominate on the ground with their run concepts. I worry about the Missouri secondary. It could be both, but it's going to be at least Missouri or the over. We'll find out. I think maybe it should be both for me. Or maybe Missouri team total over and Missouri. I don't know. I've got to figure it out.
All right. Well, I'll put Missouri on the board.
Yeah.
I don't mind your overlook either. Also, you could have a couple bounces, maybe go Missouri's way. I mean, Alabama's number 1 in the nation in turnover margin. They have 10 takeaways, only 1 giveaway. They have 1 fumble that they recovered. So look, Simpson's playing really clean, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, but he does have 4 turnover-worthy throws. That's what Missouri's going to count on. But yeah, that secondary can't match up with the Alabama receivers. That is my biggest concern.
Ryan Williams drops. That's odd.
He is a little banged up, but he's listed as probable. My biggest concerns are Caden Green. Want to see that he's going, and then the Missouri secondary. But I think that Missouri is going to be able to move the ball here. So give me the points in a dream spot. I mean, all the wrinkles, everything that they've had basically like a month to prepare for this game. Well, Alabama's been in 2 wars, so this is just another benefit of this Missouri schedule.
The SEC availability report, it's still Wednesday, Friday, right? He was questionable on Wednesday's report. I think it updates again on Friday. So I'll watch that for everybody. Because you know what, by the way, as we're getting deeper into the season, Lane Kiffin likes to put all 70 players on it on Monday and Tuesday, or Monday and Wednesday, and then they'll all be disappeared by Friday. So keep in mind this availability report is kind of a joke.
All right, let's move on to 3:30 Eastern Saturday. Oregon 7.5-point favorite at home against Indiana. Total 55.5.
Did you get that on Sunday when you and I talked about this on the pod? Did you get that 10 on Indiana?
No, I wish I did, but I didn't. See, now this goes back to my theory on, is Indiana a team where you have to have 2 sets of power ratings for? I don't know. Like if I use my actual raw numbers, I can, of Indiana's performances on the field, I would take Indiana plus 7.5. I think this would be like around 6. If I adjust it to what, maybe like a 3-point drop off when they step up and play a bunch of 4 and 5 stars and like a legit top 5 to 6 team, then I think this should be 9. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think Indiana's better than last year. They're better in the trenches. For example, like Drew Evans, their left guard, he's a stud. He was out. He was hurt for the year. They really missed him. He got hurt in like week 10, so he wasn't in there for all of their games against marquee competitions. Their offensive line is better. I think their quarterback is better. Loved Rourke, but Mendoza's a legit NFL prospect. So I do think Indiana has the opportunity to maybe play up against the teams that have more talent than them, but I still need to see it. So I don't know. And then when it comes to Oregon, we're super impressive against Penn State, but now I have my reservations with, okay, is Penn State just Clemson, where they're just bad? Because they looked bad, right? And then they looked bad against, we just said, hey, they have this Oregon game circled. And then they looked horrible against UCLA. Now, how much of that was a hangover? How much of that was some new wrinkles that UCLA unleashed? I don't know, but throwing all that in, like that's Oregon's only legit opponent that they faced. So combine all of that. I don't have a hot take I really don't. I wish I did. I wish I had a side or a total going into this game, and maybe you can convince me one way or the other. I think we'll learn. We'll either solidify that, like, hey, Oregon, Dante Moore, this team is legit. Because now you look back and you're like, all right, well, Oregon only scored 17 on Penn State. I mean, UCLA had 27 in the first half.
Yeah.
How much of that was Penn State hangover? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out how good Dante Moore, how good Oregon really is. And then we'll find out, is this an Indiana team that can play up to teams with, loaded with blue chips across the board? What are you seeing here?
I see over for Action Network. I wrote up the over 55 being the biggest key out there as I look at the board right now. 55. Yeah. We 54 and a half at DraftKings. I go grab that. So look, this is the Havoc Bowl. Okay. This is Indiana's defense number one in the nation against the number one Havoc allowed offense, which is Oregon. But I'll start on the Indiana side. Indiana just has flawless defensive numbers to this point. Now their strength of schedule is 70th, so you keep that in mind. And the one area when we look at teams with soft strength of schedules, I like to go through all of their advanced stats and find the spots where it's not really up to snuff to what it should be. If I look through the numbers in Indiana, there's one thing that sticks out. Why is their rush EPA 130th on defense? So you go through all of the box scores. Old Dominion and Kennesaw both combined in the first two games of the season for 5 explosive runs, which knocked this defensive rush EPA down, and Indiana's still trying to get over that. But it's been a clean defense and stopping it since. So do we just say there was rustiness, or maybe Cignetti's defense wasn't really tackling correctly, or maybe it was a fundamental issue, or is there really an issue here? Because the havoc comes from the tackles for loss with linebacker Isaiah Jones and Kellen Wyatt. They are absolutely insane, one of the national leaders in tackles for loss. So are they going to get behind the Ducks offensive line? The Ducks were stuffed just 7 times in 39 attempts against Penn State. It doesn't sound like that offensive line. I mean, Penn State's defensive line is supposed to be legit and headed towards the NFL every year, and they only controlled the line of scrimmage on 7 of 39 attempts, rushing attempts. Jaden Lamar and De'Aaron Hill, the running backs for Oregon, have had 15 explosive runs on the season. Indiana's 7th in PFF tackling. So that tells me at a second level, they're going to be able to potentially stop explosives, but you're still 130th, and that comes from Kennesaw and Old Dominion. Decoreen Moore, Malik Benson, over 2.3 yards per route run. Like, Stuck, would you take the Old Dominion and Kennesaw explosive runs against this Indiana D and say that applies now? Because it was the first 2 games of the season, and that's where I'm kind of tweening that I like the over here, and I don't know if I should stick with my Indiana plus 10. Offensively, Mendoza, 16 TDs, 1.3% turnover-worthy play on 124 passing attempts. This is way better than what he did at Cal. He has majorly he is worthy of a Heisman conversation. He's going to see quarters coverage, which he has dominated at 77% so far this season. Run first team with the Hoosiers. Roman Hemby, Kalen Black are going to do inside zone. You look at what Oregon does against inside zone. They struggle to defend outside zone, not inside zone. They're actually pretty good against it. They're just 50th in havoc and 114th in defensive stuff rate. So what does that tell me? Indiana's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, stay in standard downs, but they're not going to be able to have explosive runs with Hemby and Black. Oregon's 51% success rate against inside zone tells me that Oregon's going to be able to get into scoring position, and then they're going to have to convert. But Indiana's going to have success with inside zone. Oregon's inside zone is going to test an Indiana defense, which really didn't go well against Old Dominion and Kennesaw. And Indiana's going to have to prove. You look at all the teams that they played. None of them have Decoreen Moore. None of them have these Malik Bensons. None of them have any of those guys. Can they tackle in space at the second level? I love over 55. I'm hanging on my Indiana plus 10. I really would consider, I make this game 9. I really would consider firing on Oregon at 7, but I'm probably just going to let this ride.
Yeah, having a healthy D'Angelo Pons, that'll be a great matchup against Moore. I think he is legit. I do have questions about the rest of the secondary matching up, so that might be the determining factor. But I can't wait to watch it. If I had a 10 in pocket, I would hold on to it. But if you get a 7, there is a lot of uncertainty just with because of that Penn State game, but mainly just, will Indiana be able to play up? Is this team different than last year? So it will definitely a great data point for both teams, and can't wait to watch it. At that same time, we have the Red River Shootout or Red River Rivalry, whatever they're calling it these days. In Dallas, Oklahoma is taking on Texas. This is a huge game for both teams. If Oklahoma wins with or without John Mateer, their playoff chances improved dramatically, and they could really use this win because their schedule is brutal. And for Texas, you already have 2 losses. I know their schedule isn't a complete gauntlet the rest of the way, but you take a loss here with an I mean, it might be season over for Sark. Texas, 1.5-point favorite. Total 43.5. This annually was you just bet the over and that's it. Last year, we did finally see a lower scoring game. On the surface, before we get to the Mateer stuff, neither one of these teams has a great offensive line. Both defensive lines should dominate the line of scrimmage. On the surface, that leads me to want to bet an under. Now, this is super low. There's uncertainty with John Mateer. That would be this. I think this game is going to be ugly. I mean, the Texas offensive line, they should have went to the portal, and they lost all those guys. They have 2 good ones, but there's 3 holes on that offensive line. They got beat up. It wasn't all on Arch. Arch has not been great. It was not all on Arch against Florida. They could not block Florida. So, I mean, how's Texas going to move the ball? Arch,
I would consider OU's defense as good, if not better, than Florida. So
agreed. Yeah, they might have the best front.
Right.
They have a better front than Florida. I mean, Florida wasn't played without their first-round draft pick up front too. So how's Texas going to move the ball here? Sark's got to be in his bag. You got to just run Arch in creative ways.
His good bag.
Yeah, screen game got to be good here. But how's Oklahoma going to move the ball without Mateer? I don't know. I'm not a Hawkins guy. So I know a lot of people. I used to be the ex-mayor of Norman. For those who don't know, no, I'm kidding. I've been to Norman, love it. Have some friends there, some friends close to the program. Is Mateer going to play? The weird thing is, if I knew for sure and the market didn't, I wouldn't even have a huge. It wouldn't be like the biggest bet of all time because where the line is. If this was like 7 or like 6, and then it was uncertain because, I think that if Mateer doesn't play or isn't close to 100%, then Texas should be around a field goal favorite. If Mateer does play and he is healthy, I think Oklahoma should be close to a field goal favorite. So we're hedged here, but we're hedged in the middle of the threes, and it's a game that I think is going to be completely disgusting. And also, I don't know if Mateer does play. We don't know how healthy he's going to be with his thumb. Is the grip impacted? Is there rust, right? Like how much is he? So I don't know. So all the people that are close to the Oklahoma program said they genuinely don't know, but they think he is going to play.
Yeah.
They think he is. They have you got to love college football. Here's one person said 75 to 80% they think he's going to play. Another said 66%. Another said 55, and another said 50-50. I think it's a little more likely he's not, but I really don't know. But OU paid for a cellular and skin regeneration office from Dallas to set up at the facility and work on his thumb around the clock all week. You gotta love college football. So, I just don't know. That's obviously a big swing in the game. If I knew he didn't play, I would be much more confident in the under as well. But this game should be dominated by both defensive lines. I still do think the Texas defense is elite. So lean under. I don't know what to do with the side because at -1, if I knew for sure Mateer wasn't playing, I would play Texas.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. If I do get confirmation, and you'll see it go in the app, Just know that. What are you seeing here in Red River?
I'm the person that told you 50-50. My source says pretty close to that too. There's a lot of smoke in that listed as questionable on that SEC availability report.
Yeah, and I'm sure that think about it. If you're Oklahoma and you're Venables, you don't want Texas to know,
right?
So you got to make them prepare for both,
right?
And like, there's someone told me like it's leaked to someone that he played. What if Oklahoma's leaking that? Yeah, he's gonna play, just for Texas to know. Like, they're gonna be so. I don't think we're gonna know for sure. I'm gonna try to find out. I'm gonna do my best, but there's a chance we won't know until the first snap. Like, Mateer's gonna dress regardless. So
you better believe at 1 p.m. because remember, warm-ups start 90 minutes before games. You better believe at 1 p.m. I'll be texting with feet on the ground to figure out what the hell's going on. But I think it's what I've been told is it's a little bit of a smokescreen, and that if he does play, there definitely won't be any throwing. So there is definitely legs to this number in the total that is completely crashed, because there's not an expectation that this throwing hand is going to be able to go. What I get worried about is Mateer getting swatted at and fumbling the ball within his own 20. Like, I really think this number with Texas and everything, like, how do they win? Right? Because if Mateer is healthy, I don't see them winning. I actually make OU a favorite like you if Mateer was completely healthy. But can he do it with his legs? I think that's the big question. Mateer has 156 rushing yards on design calls, 5 rushing TDs this season, and I'm just not expecting much out of the passing game whatsoever. I mean, Texas is a top 15 pass rush defense, coverage grading top 15. I don't see much coming out of the Sooners through the air, and especially with the struggles with this regenerative skin hand surgery. But then again, Texas has offensive struggles too. Can I get down to 43? I was hoping to take an over on 41. I mean, that is so super low that field position could get you over 41. I've seen enough Iowa games get over 41. I've seen enough Navy.
yeah, and there's plenty of talent at the skill positions on both sides that, for
Yeah.
explosive plays, and then you could have mistakes with turnovers with these bad offensive lines.
I still don't think Arch is good, and I still don't think maybe he shouldn't be the starter. I mean, he was lit up for 4 turnover worthy plays. I know that the Florida game wasn't all on him, but 4 turnover worthy
He still
plays
didn't look great.
brings his season total to 10 big time throws and 10 turnover worthy plays. That's not a great ratio. That's a Sunbelt ratio. He hasn't had any success against cover 1 and man, which is what he's going to see here. The rushing attack, CJ Baxter is looking like doubtful. The rushing attack is impotent. Most of the time, they use power most of the time, about 44% success rate. That's not good. Manning leads the team in rushing thanks to scrambles. I mean, Jared Gibson is a super low 2.3 yards after first contact. That's bad for a running back. The Texas offense, this is the stat I can't get over. Seriously cannot get over this. Texas created 2 methodical drives against Ohio State. A methodical drive is when you put 10 plays together. 2 methodical drives. Do you know how many methodical drives they've created in games against San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, and Florida? In those 4 games, they've created a combined 2 methodical drives. They've created 4 all year. Half of them came against Ohio State. This Longhorns offense has regressed. It's gotten worse since what we saw against Ohio State. Sooners top 10 in everything. You can name it. Havoc, quality, finishing drive. Doesn't matter. They're top 10 in everything. They kind of put Michigan's offense in a vice grip. Texas is, and plus, think about this. OU runs a lot of cover 2. Arch has not seen a lot of cover 2, and cover 2 is like a real problem. Like, even in the NFL, when you're running cover 2 or Tampa 2, whatever you're running, like, quarterbacks do not like to see cover 2, and they're going to see that here. So really, if you're making a bet on either side, it's based upon Mateer's availability. And if you think that he can run against this defense, which I'm not so sure about, if the game comes down to field position, turnovers, and special teams, OU is 13th in special teams. Texas is 96 per SP+. So there are a few things that fall on Oklahoma's side. If I had to make a bet on this game right now, I would take Oklahoma on the money line, absolutely. And I probably will, but I need to be 90 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, the one thing that worries me about the under is neither team's going to be able to run the ball at all. Unless, like, it's quarterback, scrambles, quarterback run game, quarterback designs. It's hard for me to see anyone running the ball. So are you just going to have, like, Arch and... All right, let's move into prime time. Let's go back to the SEC. Georgia at Auburn. Auburn 3.5-point home dogs, total 46.5. I love Auburn here. War Eagle. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm on their team total under. So
Okay. Well, you're not betting Georgia?
no.
Okay. Well, here's why I like Auburn. By the way, Hugh Freeze, 33-17 against the spread as an underdog, 66% covering by about a touchdown per game, 18-6 as a short dog of a touchdown or less, covering by 11 points per game. So why do I like Auburn? Well, let's talk about the spot. They're coming off of a bye at home, primetime Jordan Hare. This is home field, situational spot, juiced up to the max. I also don't, this is my thesis of the weekend in the FCC. I don't think that there's a huge difference this year. The parity is so extreme. A huge difference in the top of the SEC, your Georgias and Alabamas, and the second tier, your Missouris, your Auburn's. But look, I would argue that Auburn has the better offensive line. They might have the better defensive line with Falk and company. They have the better receivers. The quarterback play is where Georgia has an advantage, but it's not like Gunnar Stockton's a first-round draft pick. Both secondaries are struggling. These rosters are closer to even than you think. Georgia easily could have lost to Tennessee. They could have beat Bama, but they lost at home to Bama. Like, this team could already have 2 losses. And I get Auburn hasn't looked great, but this is a team that's played one of the most difficult schedules in the country. They've played 3 road games at Baylor, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. And by the way, they arguably should have beat Oklahoma without the SEC refs. They had a chance to beat Texas A&M. They did get severely outplayed in that game. And they beat Baylor. All on the road in tough environments. That's the key in the handicap for me this game. Hugh Freeze, at home, the movie director. They can't communicate with Jackson Arnold when he's on the road. He's had 2 weeks to prepare, one of the best play callers and designers. He can basically tell Jackson Arnold, okay, there's no noise here. This is what we're going to do. Here's who you're going to throw it to. Georgia's secondary is terrible. And by the way, Georgia's getting no pressure. It's 7 sacks. They're tied with Alabama, 108th in the country. This is not the same Georgia front. They're not succeeding in all the fronts, all the twists and stunts up front. Some of the things that Oklahoma did that caused Auburn issues. Some of the things that A&M did with their front. By the way, those teams are top 5 in the country in sacks per game. Even if you remove the Auburn game, they're top 20. Georgia's outside the top 100. So Hugh Freeze, movie director on Jackson Arnold. And this is a run game, like a mobile quarterback's given Kirby some issues in the past. I like Auburn. This is a Jordan Hare special. War Eagle. This is going right down to the wire. Wouldn't be shocked if we get some Jordan Hare weirdness with like a kick 6 or something. What do you got here?
I mean, I think it's an under game. As far as the side is concerned, I make this 4 on the dot, which is why I was kind of couldn't go one way or the other. And the reason I
make it under a field goal for sure. And I'm juiced up max home field and spot. Okay, ahead.
I'm not going to go against you because Auburn ranks 2nd in the nation in defensive rushing success rate and 1st in the nation in defensive line yards. I'm not going to fade that. Right?
You can't run on them, and then they're going to be able to get some pressure. I know their secondary isn't great, but on the other hand, I don't think Auburn will be able to run a ton on Georgia.
Right.
But Georgia's not getting pressure, and Georgia has the same issues in the secondary, and Auburn has better receivers, in my opinion. And now Hugh Freeze can hand Jackson Arnold's hand, hold his hand, and movie direct him. That's where I think the difference is. But go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of this game that's a wash. And so I'll go over a couple of things. Like I do all my cross references from run concepts, from coverages to the quarterbacks. Like Auburn's cover 3 against Stockton, it's a wash. Georgia's inside zone is a wash against Auburn's D, who's 50% against inside zone. Georgia strung together 7 explosives against Kentucky, 3 against Bama. So all of a sudden that's a part of their passing game, which wasn't there at the beginning of the season. And so you wonder if there's regression, they're going to start taking more shots downfield. Auburn is 133rd in PFF coverage grading. So that makes me a little bit nervous. But at the same time, can Auburn get anything done offensively? How in the world is Auburn 133 in pass EPA? Like, am I reading that wrong? Do I need to go check the data? Like, you brought in one of the best portal classes at wide receiver. And for some reason, we're lacking behind in number of explosives. But the big advantage here is finishing drives. Auburn 16th to Georgia's 82nd in the numbers. I mean, Auburn 16th offensive finishing drives against Georgia 82nd in defensive finishing drives. That tells me that, Hugh Freeze is going to be able to take advantage of the Georgia defense every time he gets past the 40-yard line. Auburn also an inside zone rush team that's been dominated by Georgia. So really it's got to come down to Jackson Arnold, him taking off and him with his arm. There's a big special teams advantage to Georgia, which kind of floated me to the other side. So I think the number is spot on, but I just don't see Auburn running the ball at all. And for some reason, they don't have pass explosives going on right now. But I do love their defense extremely. So the play was kind of an under, but then I think Auburn's going to have trouble scoring their fair share of points. So Auburn team total under for me. That doesn't mean they can't win because I do love their defense.
Yeah, I think that the bye week could help with some of the time. The timing's been off. They went up against some nasty fronts, but the timing has been off with the receivers and Arnold. But I really do think that Freeze being able to tell Arnold what to do is going to be a huge edge.
If Arnold's in sync with Coleman and Singleton,
Georgia can't cover them. The Georgia secondary is
broken. Yeah, absolutely. But they're not. And if they come out like that, you need to be live. I mean, shove, right? A poker term, shove your stack if you see our Jackson Arnold in sync with his wideouts.
Yeah. And if he's bad and way off, then I might be in trouble. But I took my shot with War Eagle. All right, staying at night, USC 2.5-point home favorite against Michigan.
I think the winner of this game goes to the Big Ten championship game.
Well, this is my favorite bet on the board.
Really?
Yep, favorite bet on the board. USC minus 2.5.
Ooh.
Are you against me?
No, I took the over.
Okay. So I got to paint a picture here for USC. Everyone was talking about them being a college football playoff sleeper, including myself. And then they lost at Illinois, and then everyone jumped off. Why? Let me explain what happened at Illinois. By the way, they lost on a walk-off field goal on the road against a ranked team.
Lincoln Riley's 0-4 in the Central Eastern time zone. That's what happened.
With the travel, all these teams who travel in the Big Ten are horrendous across time zones. But what happened in that game? Number one, they played the latest game the week before. They fly early kick, in Champaign, getting Illinois, who just lost by 60. You're going to get their best effort. But it's more than that. They play without their stud left tackle, Elijah Page. Lemon and Lane, I think, are the best receiver duo in college football, at least top three. Lane wasn't fully healthy. He only played 30 snaps. But because Page was out, and he's a stud left tackle, they had to move their right tackle to left tackle, and he struggled immensely. They had to move their guard to right tackle. But the biggest thing is that they had a huge bout of food poisoning the night before. And you know what that did? Kamari Ramsey, their green dot, was ruled out less than 24 hours before the game. That's less than ideal. And they already had other corner injuries, and then their starting corner got hurt. For most of that Illinois game, they were playing with two freshmen on the outside at corner, and then they had to play in the slot where Ramsey's playing. They played a true freshman safety who never played before in the slot. He played 10 snaps versus Georgia Southern. Their secondary was a disaster. There was because and then they had a bunch of guys on the defensive line that had food poisoning that had no juice. So I almost throw out that game, and they still almost won. Their offense wasn't healthy. Their defense wasn't healthy. It was a horrible spot. There was food poisoning. No, I'm not. This USC offense went at full strength, and I think Page should be back. Lemon and Lane, I think should be close to full strength. Offensive line will all be pieces. I think at full strength, this USC offense might be the best in the country. Is the defense great? No, but Ramsey will be back. There's also a chance they get this kid Alex Graham, this really highly touted freshman, has been hurt, making his debut in the slot, which will put Ramsey back at safety. But off the bye, the defense should be healthier. I just don't see this. This Michigan defense is good. I'm not going to say elite. There are some holes that you can attack. I think USC can. Michigan, will they be able to run the ball? Sure.
Yeah.
Justin Haynes have a day? Probably. But I don't think that they can keep up with this USC machine Like, for example, people don't realize how well Jaden Maiev is playing.
Yeah.
I mean, Underwood's going to be a player, but it's going to take some time. I mean, if you just look at NFL quarterback rating among 125 qualified quarterbacks, at least 100 dropbacks, Maiev is fourth. He's also completing over 70% of his passes and leads the country with an 11.6 yards per attempt average. Underwood's 88th, and not all that's on him. The offensive line has some deficiencies. The wide receivers are just meh. The difference in wide receivers in this game is as drastic as you'll see. McCauley's a nice player. Marsh is coming on, but they did so many drops, and I hate the offensive coordinator. It's not all on Underwood, and he's going to be great. He has all the tools, but I'm telling you, people overreacted to USC in that Illinois game, which they still almost won. I know they got lucky, but they're going to be healthy. They're at home. You got Big Ten teams traveling. By the way, since the Big Ten added the West Coast teams prior to the start of last season, teams traveling 2+ time zones, 12-21 against the spread, 12-21 straight up in league play, 36% in both. Fight on. Give me the Trojans.
Yeah, I'll tell everybody to take the over. There's no one stopping Justice Haynes. 4.3 yards after first contact. He's forced 20 missed tackles on 85 carries. That's a very healthy rate against a USC defense. It's outside the top 100 defensive rushing success, outside the top 100 defensive line yards. 70-person stuff, right? They're not controlling the line of scrimmage. Michigan is going to maul them, probably try to control the clock, probably try to keep the USC offense off of the field. And that's where really the handicap is, because I know that you love the USC offense, and I do too. I think they're unbelievably good. I think there's no disrespect to either of these teams. I think the winner of this game is going to go to the Big Ten championship. But Wink, with his defense, top 25 in nearly every category with that nickel D. He switches between man, cover 3 quarters, second nationally in limiting rush EPA. That's because of how they set up their defense. They don't want anything to get behind them. But, the defensive finishing drives is a real issue for Michigan right now. They're 91st in the country. 20 opponent possessions have crossed the 40-yard line. Teams are averaging 4.1 points when they get into scoring position against Michigan. So over city for USC, over city for Michigan going up, creating methodical drives, 2+ first downs. Inside, outside zone. USC's defense, 39% success rate against inside zone. That means Justice Haynes is just going to cook and have runs up the middle all day. So, and Maeva, he dominates cover 3 and quarters. And Mekhi Lemon, 17 of 19 of his targets have come on the underneath, and then he averages 4.5 yards per route run. That is insane. That means he catches the ball from 0 to 10 over the middle between the hash marks, and then just goes berserk. Nobody's catching up with him. I think this is a laser fest. And if Michigan wins this game, it's because they grind Justice Haynes and they steal the clock. But the problem is, I think USC is going to let them have 20-yard runs, and then they're going to score twice as fast. So I like the over.
Yeah, I don't mind the over. My only concern would be is if Michigan is grinding this away.
And not if USC's gap, just getting gashed, right?
Yeah, but just trying to go extra slow to keep USC off the field while running, but yeah, I think both offenses will have success for sure. All right, late night, Utah, Arizona State, a big one in the Big 12. The winner of this game will be the favorites to go to the Big 12 championship game and take on the co-favorites to get there. And the overwhelming favorites to get there right now, Texas Tech. Utah, 5.5-point home favorite. Total 47.5. One of the keys for me here is, this is going to be a juiced up crowd, Rice Eccles that night. Huge home field advantage, one of the best and biggest in college football. One of the keys for me here, it looks like Jalen Moss is going to play. And he's the wide receiver transfer from Fresno State. Was supposed to be the number 2. He's been hurt or sick, but now he's apparently going to play. How much does that do for this Arizona State offense? Because in the red zone, they've had issues. Third down, they've had issues.
Mm-hmm.
And they've really missed Scadaboo out of the backfield on those third downs and in the red zone. You can't just throw it to Tyson. Jordan Tyson's an amazing player, one of the best wide receivers in the country. You can't just throw it to him, 50% of the time. Utah plays a lot of man coverage. But if it's just Tyson, they can roll help over to him. So how much does Moss, his presence, because there's been no one else to help on the outside, how much does that unleash this Arizona State offense? I don't know the answer to it. That's one of the things I'm watching. I'm pretty close to on market here. I was hoping to get like a really cheaper Utah. I still don't trust the Utah wide receivers and the passing game. Arizona State generally has a pretty good run D under Dillingham, who will have his troops ready. They're much more battle tested, by the way. It's the team that's been in close games and found ways to win. I don't think they can go into Rice Eccles and pull off this mini upset if they don't fix the third downs and the red zone issues. Does Moss fix that? I don't know. I think this line looks about right. Do you see anything here?
I think Utah -7, which is why I want this 5.5. And I was kind of waffling until we got to the podcast here to see what you were going to say. You want a cheaper number. I make it 7. I feel like I should be playing it. The problem is I've loved Arizona State every single week, and I didn't think that I didn't
like Texas for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, look, Utah's domination at West Virginia, up-tempo offense, 5.2 yards per run. They gained 88% of available yards. Do you know what 88% of available yards is? That's Joe Burrow 2019. That's Alabama 2020. I mean, that is an insane number of yards they gained against West Virginia's defense. 5 of the 9 drives were methodical. West Virginia also averaged 5.7 a carry. So it's not like the defense for Utah is still, that scares me a little bit that West Virginia was able to do that. And then Arizona State, dominated TCU from a yards per play perspective. 3 turnovers from TCU helped. TCU failed to create a methodical or an explosive drive against Arizona State's D. I mean, Arizona State's D has been legit, like one of the best at swatting balls at contested catches in the nation. So how is this game going to play out? Arizona State, they're going to dominate quality drives. Is Utah going to be able to get down the field? Teams have not been able to get points in 22 red zone trips. 11 have turned out to be TDs against Arizona State's defense. So those are things that are kind of hesitating me from taking Utah. But then again, on the other side of the ball, Utah's 8th in limiting pass explosives. So I don't think Tyson's going to be able to do anything either. And Utah doesn't create explosives. Rush, pass, it doesn't matter. This is all methodicals on the ground. And this is all about Arizona State stopping the methodicals. So I think the difference also, we have to mention, Arizona State's dead last in special teams SP+. Yeah, it's real bad. So I want Utah. I have them at 7. The number's at 5.5. I think I'm going to moneyline parlay them with a team we are about to talk about.
All right, let's get to the rundown. We got 6 games we'll go through quickly. Ohio State at Illinois. Illinois 14.5-point home dogs, total 50.5, 49.5 out there. I lean under here. The Ohio State defense is the real deal. It's probably the most elite, dominant unit in the country from what I've seen. Illinois' offenses look good. Altmaier's look good. Hank Beatty's look good. But let's throw some context in there. They did nothing against Indiana. Against Duke, Duke's missing their All-American safety. I just talked about USC. They were playing all freshmen. They had food poisoning. Their green dot goes out the day before. What about Purdue? How about their captain and starting corner gets hurt the day before in practice? His backup had one of the worst days I've ever seen in years as a corner. There was busted coverages all over. Hank Beatty's a stud. I love him. But it might be a long day for this Illinois offense. I think they're going to try to grind this down, but they haven't really been able to run the ball. Their offensive line has struggled outside of 2 guys. Their center's been hurt, but he hasn't been great either. How's Illinois moving the ball here? I mean, Altmaier's playing well. I'll give him that. But this is a big step up in competition. I still think the Illinois defense has some dudes, but I mean, look what Indiana did to them. That scares me. I mean, look at USC with their offensive line injuries. They didn't have the healthy wide receivers. They were still going up and down the field. Purdue was slicing and dicing Illinois all day as well. That's scary.
Yep.
I actually lean Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I small lean to the under, but that's going to be so dependent on the game state. What are you seeing there?
Well, by the way, I said if I could name the score, it'd be Ohio State 37-3 over Minnesota. That was close. I make this Ohio State -12.5, and I still think I should take 14 or 14.5. I don't see any way Illinois is covering this number. First off, their center, Josh Krutz, he's on the verge of playing against Purdue, so Bielema wouldn't commit to his return this week. So we'll see what happens there. But despite a 16-point victory, Illinois had a 75% post-game win expectancy against Purdue. Now you're getting Ohio State off of a bye. Like that post-game win expectancy with a 16-point victory should have been 100%. It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was that defense
They were
got.
one of the luckiest teams that won from a net. They Purdue had the higher net success rate. I mean, there was two fumbles swung it, and Purdue was playing without its best corner and team captain, who got hurt the day before practice. His backup was horrendous. They were lucky in that game.
There's two things I don't like about Illinois. First off, they have a huge success rate issue. They have a huge coverage issue. They cannot defend the line of scrimmage, and they're 128th in defensive pass EPA. You want me to go to the other side of the ball? Can Luke Altmaier continue to be interception free here? He's got a 5-2 big time throw to turnover worthy play ratio. The Buckeyes man in cover one, Altmaier has been average against those, but havoc allowed is always a concern here. I mean, Illinois is 127th, and that's all comes from tackles for loss allowed. They've allowed 40, and Ohio State's recorded 33. I mean, the Buckeyes should be in the backfield on every single rushing attempt. Altmaier should be in passing downs the entire time here. I think you got to play Ohio State or nothing. I don't know how you make a case for Illinois. They seem to be progressively getting worse on defense and just dull on offense.
Can't run it, and I don't think they're going to rely on Altmaier and Beatty explosives against this Ohio State defense.
Ryan Day 13-7 against the spread off of a bye.
But they're not off of a bye.
Ohio State's not?
I mean, they basically had a bye last week, but they played Minnesota. You just talked about it.
Minnesota is a bye. They only allowed 3 points.
So, yeah, lean Illinois and under. Lean Ohio State and under. Florida at Texas A&M. Florida 7.5-point dog on the road. Lagway looked good. My guy Dallas Wilson looked good. This Florida team is going to be feisty. Do they get up off the mat for Texas A&M? Like they got to recover mentally and get ready. It's a huge win over Texas, but this is no walk in the park for Texas A&M. I do think they have the offensive line to contain that Florida defensive line. Like that's the biggest difference between Texas A&M and Texas. Texas A&M's offensive line is elite. Texas is far from it. I believe in this Texas A&M team. At 7.5, I could only look at Florida. Old Billy, he's elite as a dog with 7+, but the spot isn't great. So I'm probably leaving this alone. Do you have anything in Florida, Texas A&M?
This is exactly who I was going to parlay Utah with. I love Texas A&M in this spot. I make the game 10. I don't like the 7.5. And by the way, pretty positive thing is shooting up to 8. It might go a little bit higher. Jacoby Jackson was elevated to questionable in the Florida backfield. We'll see if he can help out. Florida averaged 7 yards per play against the Texas defense, but it all came from the passing game. 6 explosives, 6 catches to Dallas Clark for 111 yards. So I think
Dallas Clark.
Dallas Clark. Gosh, sorry guys. Dallas Wilson. By the way, he's like bigger than Dallas Clark, but Dallas Wilson.
He looks pro ready right now.
He does look like he's ready to eat at the NFL level. So Dallas Wilson, 111 yards on 2 TDs, and really the question came down to does Texas A&M have what it takes to cover? So it comes down to corners, Will Lee the third and Des Ricks. They have 8 forced incompletions, 6 PBUs, 50 targets, only 26 have been caught. So the corners for Texas A&M have shown against the competition they played so far that they can be feisty and they can get their hands in the way of the ball. I expect them to put up a better effort than what was shown by I think Texas just was not ready for that whatsoever. Now you've got Dallas Wilson on tape. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but I mean, you got to jab him. You got to hit him with 2 guys at the line of scrimmage. Texas A&M's tackling. We talk about this over and over. I'll say it on every podcast. Their tackling and their defensive finishing drives has improved game by game. Auburn, Miss State. Is it sustainable? I think it is. You go to the other side. I'm not sure how much I need to talk about Marcel Reed dominating quarters, cover 3. Craver's going to be the guy over the middle here. Craver can take advantage of a Gators defense that's 118th in passing down explosives allowed. They just have not been able to finish off third downs in some points. So I like Texas A&M here, but I think the smarter play, since it's leaving 7.5 and going up to 8, I'm parlaying it with Utah, which should pay better than even money.
By the way, South Carolina LSU, another game at night.
I don't understand the dip on this number.
I mean, it's just that do you want to lay a bit? Do you need LSU to win by margin? Here, neither of these teams could run the ball. Ahmad Hardy has more yards after contact than either of these 2 teams have in total rushing. These are 2 of the worst rushing offenses. Their offensive lines are broken. I think that the difference here, we'll see if they make some changes at offensive line. There's rumors of that with LSU.
Yeah.
But they just can't run the ball because of that. I think the difference is LSU's defense is better than South Carolina's. And LSU has better weapons than South Carolina. So I think that'll ultimately be the difference. I was leaning under, but like with two talented quarterbacks and two teams that can't run it, like there's just gonna be a million passes in this game, which is not ideal for a total that low. So I'm off that. I'm also curious, does Penn State finally get a cover? Where are they at mentally? I don't know. I can't bet that game, but we'll see if James Franklin can try to rally the troops. They need to run the table now for any shot, and that means they'd have to beat Indiana and they'd have to win at Ohio State.
Not happening.
All right, let's run through some quarterback injuries. UCF or Cincy, Brown and Jackson for UCF are questionable. You might be Cam Fancher time. Don't want to bet UCF when that happens. Houston versus Oak State. Houston got really beat up last week, and Connor Wegman concussion, although it sounds like he might be able to go. Pitt versus Florida State. Look at that. The freshman, Mason Einschel, went off for Pitt. They do have a guard out for the year. Desmond Reed, is he going to play this year? I don't know. Their starting safety and cornerback were also out at Florida State. Did you have any play in Pitt, Florida State?
Yeah, I took Pitt on open, and then it went up to 11. Like, I took Pitt. The Heinschel kid is insane. Like, if you go into the numbers, what he did, he had 14 pressures and didn't make a single mistake. I mean, he went crazy.
That was one of the most head-scratching results that BC lost that bad.
And Florida State's, by the way, Florida State's getting pushed around on the defensive line. Like, I think Pitt's going to be able to throw everywhere here.
Pitt also has a couple defensive ends that didn't play last week, so their injury report, availability report will be important to watch. It looks like true freshman Brady Davidson is going to start again for Northern Illinois at quarterback. They still can't move the ball. Their offensive line is so bad. Diari Rogers is a really good receiver. There's no one to get him the ball. And, Chavon Wright's a good running back. They know when to block for him. Nevada, San Diego State. We'll talk about that later. But Carter Jones, true freshman. I think he might get the start. Chubba Purdy's been horrific. Wisconsin versus Iowa. Totals 35.5. Who's playing quarterback? For Wisconsin, is it Edwards, O'Neal, Simmons? For Iowa, is it Gronowski, Hecklinger, Brown? I don't know. Total of 35.5. You're one of three quarterbacks you don't know on each side. What a mess. Talk about that game later. BYU, Arizona. BYU has some key defensive injuries. I need 3 for Arizona to trust that offense against that BYU defense. And I need BYU, some of their linebackers got hurt last week, but I have nothing there pregame.
Yeah, Arizona, like they're second in the nation in defensive havoc, but this offense,
I don't trust them versus a good day. And then seeing the Iowa State, seeing what they couldn't get it going against Iowa State, who can't get pressure and had secondary injuries, that was concerning to me. I don't care what you did against the corpse of Oak State. A little look ahead or look away. The one here, Ole Miss's schedule coming up is whew. So first they have Wazoo. It's Lane. Who knows what you're ever going to get with Lane? 31.5 to 32-point favorites at home against Washington State. That Washington State game at North Texas scares me a bit when they lost like 56-10. Are you going to play the spot here?
I mean, if it steams, I've got the number at 29. But we have not seen Lane take his foot off the pedal this year, so now I think he knows the number. So
he's tweeting Big Cat about it. Big Cat was saying, "Hey, this is the spot."
Yep.
So Lane's not going to be focused, and then Lane tweeted and said, "All right." So who knows?
All it takes is one public big head to say that Lane's not going to be focused. All of a sudden, we're covering. But the other thing too is
although Lane did tell everyone to bet the over in the LSU game, and it steamed like 5 points and never even sniffed, and that kept me off it. I can't figure out the Lane game.
But I think the other thing too with this game is like if Chambliss is pulled from this game and Austin Simmons gets a chance to come in, he's going to try to do everything he can to put points up on the board. So I wouldn't want to be opposite Ole Miss here.
All right, before we get to some trash, the Action Network app, it's free. If you're new here and you do not have it, you're missing out on the full BBOC betting experience. Right now, you can get 33% off a monthly subscription of Action Pro Access and never miss a bet from me, Colin, Duck, the whole squad. Just go to theactionnetwork.com/pro. Again, that's actionnetwork.com/pro. And look, for immediate notifications, it's important this time of year, especially during the week, especially with Duck's FCS stuff. I promise you it's worth it. So check out Action Pro. All right, let's get to some trash. All right, trash. By the way, agree. We only have one on the agree, Missouri right now.
Yeah.
44, 31, and 1, 58.7% on the agrees. Trash 31-22, 58.5%. Trash has been 500 this year. Actually, one game under. It's been disappointing. It's time to get it going. So let's start out. BG against Toledo. BG plus 11. Well, that's plus 10.5, I think, is best available. I make this 8.5.
Yeah.
Battle of I-75. You need to attack Toledo on the ground. That's all BG can do. Short passes. Drew Pine is the lowest ADOT in the country. Both teams coming off a bye. I think it's more important for BG because they're the team with the new staff, the new roster. I think it's more valuable in today's day and age for the team that had a complete reset. You never know what you're going to get when it comes to Tucker Gleason, the quarterback for Toledo. One day he'll look amazing. 1 week he'll look amazing. The next week he can't hit the broadside of the barn. If he's on, it's problematic for BG's secondary. Their corners aren't great, but at least their best corners in the slot. And that's where Toledo's best receiver plays. Similar to Ohio, they held Hendricks to one catch for 25 yards. He was leading the country in receiving before that game. BG was super unlucky against Ohio. Pick six, a tip pick six, a pick in the red zone. Pine got hurt. Their backup came in, fumbled, gave up a short field touchdown. They had 300 yards of offense in that first half. I think they can run on Toledo. Toledo still has offensive line issues. You never know what you're going to get with Gleason. BG's going to be bleeding the clock. Give me the double digits with the Falcons.
I mean, you could put us on the agree board. I don't understand this. I make it 7. And really, Toledo's numbers are completely bumped up by the fact their strength of schedule is 124th. I worry
That's
about
another thing here. And by the way, the strength of schedule with Bowling Green has a top 40 net strength of schedule. And they're averaging 4.8 yards per carry, by the way. Toledo's going into this year, I said Toledo's weakness is their run D. They haven't played anyone that can run it. Like they played Western Kentucky, Morgan State, Western Michigan, Akron. And you mentioned their strength of schedule. Yeah, I have them 130th.
Yeah.
And they played Akron without a bunch of starters and their backup quarterback. And the backup quarterback didn't even know he was starting until right before the game. So, like, that Akron team is the worst team in the country when Finley doesn't play, and they were missing like 5 other starters. So it's even worse than that. So, yeah, do you agree? We're putting it on the board?
Yeah. I just want to throw an asterisk that I'm nervous about Bowling Green being 126th in offensive finishing drives, but I'm with you. I don't understand the number. I trust my power ratings right now, and I make it 7.2.
Yeah, some sharp money was on BG for what it's worth. I mean, on Toledo for what it's worth. If they do get out to a big lead, BG's not capable of playing from behind. There was a service release on Toledo as well. All right, Oregon State +3 against Wake Forest.
Oh my gosh, this team hasn't won a game.
Haven't won a game, but they've had the better success rate. They've been the last 2 weeks. They've been the unluckiest team that lost. I mean, go read my article on this. They dominated App State. They dominated Houston and lost in overtime. They had 300 more yards than Fresno. They really should have 3 or 4 wins. They've been super unlucky in turnovers, fourth downs, end game scenarios. Their special teams have been the worst by far in the country. Hopefully, they fired their special teams coordinator yesterday. Hopefully, there's some positive changes there. But this is a tough spot for Wake Forest. Traveling across the country before your bye week. You just came off an upset of Vatek. Damon Claiborne, I don't think he's going to play. He got hurt last week. Why play him here before the bye week, before your AC schedule gets really tough? Robbie Ashford's been banged up. Maybe you don't run him as much. Oregon State's still fighting, desperate for a win at home. They've been much better than their record. I think they get it done. Give me the Beavs.
No, completely disagree. This is
you want to go head-to-head?
Sure, let's do it at 3. It's at 3 across the board. Yep. I mean, I make it 4.7. I think. No, I'm sorry. I make it like 10.
Crazy.
Plus makes it 4.7. But no, this is the number one. This is the number one. Wake Forest is the number 1 team in the nation in explosives and passing downs. Oregon State is the worst defense in the nation in passing downs, explosives allowed. That could bail me out of trouble at any time Wake Forest has the ball.
All right, we're going head-to-head there. Georgia State against App State. This number's come down. I'd still take it. App State's a fraud. I mean, they should have lost. They got dominated by Oregon State. I'm not a believer in J.J. Cole. Georgia State has started to look. They looked a lot better after the bye. They made some changes. TJ Finley's slinging it around. App State has no pass defense. App State's run D is really good. Georgia State can't run it. Their secondary is really bad. Georgia State is going to be able to throw it on them. They get it done at home.
Yeah.
Give me the
Yeah, let's take it. Let's put it on the board. I like the over here too.
Last one. Doubt you're going to agree with this one.
I can't. What are we doing here?
Kent State minus 2.5. Taking Kent State, who's lost 26 straight against FBS teams, is a favorite against an FBS team. You know why? This is an important game for them because they've lost. They haven't won an FBS. They haven't beaten an FBS opponent since 2022. Yep, it's been that long. You know why this is so important to them? They benched. They didn't play DeShields healthy scratch against Oklahoma last week because they didn't want him to get hurt. This kid's the real deal. DeShields. Look at his numbers. Look at his numbers against like Texas Tech, on the road at Florida State. Like, he looked good. He also almost single-handedly beat Buffalo by himself. UMass, much more injured team. They don't have a quarterback. They can't figure out the quarterback position. They're still rotating. DeShields' numbers dwarf all of their quarterbacks combined, all their numbers, and he's played a tougher schedule than UMass. UMass lost to the worst, inferior FCS team than who Kent State beat. Kent State almost beat Buffalo in their MAC opener. UMass could only score 3 points. Do you want to know what UMass has done? They had an opening drive touchdown against Temple to start the year. They've played 4 FBS teams. They have 2 touchdowns since that moment. One came on a block after a block punt, 22-yard drive. The other came out after a fluke interception, 22-yard drive. That's it. Neither one of these teams is going to be able to run the ball. Both have hard special teams. It's going to be an ugly game. The difference, Drew DeShields. Remember the name. Kent State actually has a quarterback. Give me the golden flashes, baby.
I think this number 11.5. I don't even know what this number is. Like, what is this
number? Minus 2.5.
Like, how in the world? And first off, why is this game not on a Tuesday night in November? Why would you bury it on a Saturday slate in October?
ESPN News. I'm gonna ESPN Plus. You got to stream it. I will be tweeting about this while everyone's tweeting about Red River and Oregon, Indiana.
Everybody get ready. I'm going to tweet. What time is this game? This game is at 1:30. I'm going to tweet my tile on my TV that's showing this game. I expect everybody to show me their tile of Kent State Mass that they're watching this. But yes, we're going Kent State. The number I have at 11.5. What
Put it in. Put it in. Kent State.
Kent State is way better than UMass. And what is this number?
Don't worry about it. These are the 2 worst teams in the country. Although
Kent State's at least playing the strength of schedule a second. They still have better numbers than UMass on some.
Kent State's schedule has been absolutely vicious. All right.
It has pass EPA. Like, what is this number?
All right. Well, so trash is BG, Oregon State, Georgia State, and Kent State. 4 in the trash bin this week. All right. Nowhere fast. San Diego State at Nevada. Nevada might start the true freshman.
Yeah.
I don't know. San Diego State's getting a little expensive, although they've looked good. Their defenses look good. They've gotten their deep passing game going. Do you have any thoughts there?
I love Jaden Denegal. It's tough to make this. It's tough to handicap this one. I make the total 43, Nevada +8, so it's very close to market, but both offenses are extremely slow. Both offenses are dedicating around the ball 60% of the time. But, at the same time, Nevada does have the 7th best pass rush in the nation. Denegal hasn't seen anything like that. And when he gets pressured, he has a 5.4% turnover-worthy play rate with pressure. So Nevada's 136, dead last in offensive finishing drives. So that makes me say we got to go under here, even at 41.5. Key, one of the biggest keys is at 41. Nevada's had 28 trips past the 40, and they've only averaged 2.2 points. So if Denegal is going to get pressured and Nevada can't score on their own, let's say under 41.5, it's not. It is a very small play because I make the number 43.
All right, this is the thoughts I wanted to get from you today the most. Colin on Arkansas. Arkansas catching 12.5 at Tennessee, total 68 to 68.5. My numbers show a little value in Arkansas.
Me too.
But, number one, how are they going to get stops? Petrino took over. They fired their defensive staff. What are you expecting from this defense? Are they going to make wholesale changes? Are they going to make some schematic changes that could maybe catch? We saw that before with the guy who's now fired, catching Tennessee off guard. Like, you expect improvement from this defense? You expect this just to be a shootout again? What are you seeing here with Arkansas, Tennessee?
I expect massive improvement. There isn't many changes on the depth chart, but they've completely scrapped the what Travis Williams is doing at defensive coordinator. Jay Hayes is the new defensive line coach. The D-line absolutely loves him. They're fired up to play for him. The defense has been scrapped / playbook cut in half, and the players they're not complaining, but they are saying the tempo of practice has been absolute insanity this week. And Petrino, who has really been pretty quiet and pretty generic and vanilla in this time that he's been back at Arkansas, that is not what we have. We have 2011, 2012 Bobby Petrino back. He's foaming at the mouth. He's cursing a little bit. And he said, I told the players, every time the defense makes a play, I want 10 taps of the hat of the player that makes it. You better be moving your ass on the field. You better be congratulating the player that made the tackle. And all I've talked about with the defense this week is that it's your time to find your dollar value in the transfer portal. I knew it. I knew the second Bobby Petrino took over, he was going to start telling these kids it's a business. And if you want to get paid, you better start playing like it. And then Mike Washington Jr., our running back, gets on, like he does his little spiel. I'm watching this on Tuesday night, and he says, yeah, Coach Petrino has showed me there's a lot of holes in the Tennessee defense. And I'm just like sitting here, like he said, there's holes here that we can expose, there's holes here we can expose, and Taylor and I should have a big day running the ball. And then I go and I look at like the numbers for Tennessee's rush defense, 113th in defensive rushing success rate. Look at their run concepts. It doesn't look good. By the way, how did Tennessee get to 131st in defensive finishing drives? I'm waiting on the All-American corner, Jermod McCoy for Tennessee to see what his status is. Listen, I make this game 10. Arkansas is going to cover.
Yeah, 10. The Arkansas is the play. All right.
Yeah.
I'll join you and
Are we
blame
agreeing? You want to put it on the board?
Sure, why not?
Woo pigs. Yeah, we have to. We both worn the neck brace.
Yep. All right, we're both going to play Ark.
Petrino's talking dollar value to 19-year-old kids. What world?
Obviously, huge backdoor opportunity if you need it to.
Yeah.
12.5 is the best out there. All right, we'll call it 12.5.
Not worried.
I'm going to wait before I put it in because it's in the dead range. See if we can.
Yeah, but we'll be hungry.
All right, before we get out of here, let's go 3 and out. All right, first down, Friday Night Lights. We got South Florida at North Texas, Fresno State at Colorado State, Rutgers at Washington. Colorado State is awful, but Fresno State's been so lucky every single week, and they're barely getting these wins that they probably should be losses. I'm looking to sell them. I know Colorado State's awful. Would like a 7 there. Rutgers, Washington. I got nothing there. Washington's offense should finally break out. Maybe an over. Rutgers' defense is so bad.
Yeah.
And South Florida, North Texas. I can't wait for that game. Those are my 2 babies. I have 2 futures on them to win the American. I make it like around 1. Like there's nothing for me to do. I'm close to the total. It should be a really fast-paced game. I think it's back and forth. Good live betting game. I got nothing there. Colorado State's the team. It's ugly, but that I'm looking to buy low on. You got anything on Friday night?
Yeah, a few things. First off, South Florida team total over. I think you need to live trade this side. I think with a total this high in the 60s, took a little bit of resistance to 67, coming back down a little bit. With a total this high and a spread at 0, just go and grab yourself 6 on both sides. You're going to get it. I definitely think South Florida gets their points. I took Colorado State plus the 7. We've talked about Fresno being a huge fraud, 28% post-game win expectancy against Oregon State and a 9-point win. Not good at all. And then the other side for Colorado State, 58%.
They also got outgained by 300 against Oregon State.
Yeah. And Colorado State had a 58% post-game win expectancy and a loss against UTSA. So those two things are going against each other. And I do like Colorado State's rushing attack with Jalen Dupree and Lloyd Avant, 5.3 yards after first contact. That counter and outside zone is going to fly. Washington team total.
Right, I'm putting Colorado State. It's 7.
Yeah. I love it.
On the agree.
Washington team total over 34.5. You already mentioned that Rutgers defense is horrific. They have no rush defense against a strength of schedule of 110th. They can't defend zone read. They're 41% success rate with Williams and Jonah Coleman heavily running outside zone and being explosive. I mean, and also the West Coast, East Coast thing. Rutgers made 1 trip to Southern Cal last year. They got beat by 22. Washington, I think, runs all freaking day here, over 34.5 team total.
All right, second down, our favorite overdog. That's our favorite. You want to go head-to-head here? I'm going Michigan State, -8.5. I saw you bet UCLA. Do you want to go head-to-head?
Yeah.
You want to put it on the board?
Yeah, I believe in Kid Neuheisel. Right? I believe in
I'm 4-1 on head-to-heads, 12-8 now. And with Clemson to win the ACC, you're getting buried. I'm playing the spot here. UCLA off that huge win, now traveling for a 9 a.m. body clock game after that big win. They cannot get pressure on the quarterback. They're the worst team in Power 4 getting pressure. That's how you stop Michigan State. Michigan State has offensive line injuries. Charles makes mistakes when that happens. They can't get pressure. They're incapable of generating pressure. And Michigan State's done a good job against mobile quarterbacks. They kind of saw what New Haslett did. I'm playing the spot. Michigan State, off a couple losses. They need this game for bowl eligibility. I think they show up. Give me Sparty. You're going to the Big 12 for your favorite?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas Tech here. I don't know why I don't have a future on them to win the Big 12, but Kansas outside the top 100 in tackling, that's going to be bad here against the pieces that Texas Tech has. Huge edge to Texas Tech offense and pass explosives against the Kansas secondary. Kansas is coming in off double-dip travel, bounce house last week with UCF. Taven Jackson, Cam Fancher put up 4 explosive passes against this Kansas.
They got lucky in that game. They were stopped at the goal line a couple times.
Yeah, Texas Tech, I think they're going to roll through a few of these Big 12 games.
All right, and then third down, our underdog moneyline parlay, our favorite underdogs. Give me Wisconsin. I swore them off, but like the total's 35 in this game. They've been doing 42 push-ups at every practice for the past 6 months because they gave up 42 to Iowa last year. And they've done is talk about this game over and over again. Like they had quotes like, who gives up 42 to Iowa? Their run defense has been good. Their pass defense has been real bad. What's happened to Ricardo Allman? I don't know. Is Jake Frenfro, their center, going to play? Zachman, their safety. All the guys that have been hurt, their back has been so bad. But do you trust Iowa to throw the ball? I mean, the total's 35.5. Home dog, Wisconsin. I don't know who's going to be quarterback for either team, but give me the Badgers in what should be a disgusting one. Where are you going?
I'm going Colorado. I mean, you're telling me with this point spread, a 2.5, 3, that on a neutral site, Colorado would be favored here. I mean, there's something pretty stinky in the water, and I think it's the fact that you and I have been calling for regression on Iowa State every week. I think Cincinnati finally exposed them, and Cincinnati's defense is horrific. If you look at the Colorado side, what is it? They lost to BYU by 3, but they had a 71% post-game win expectancy, so that's kind of the reverse here. I know we're already talking.
Wide late at TCU.
Well, Iowa State their numbers analytically are getting worse. 125th in PFF tackling, 126th in creating a pass rush. They can't defend the rush whatsoever. And Caden Salter should have free reign to go wherever he wants to go here, or hopefully anyone except that Ryan Baum kid. But
I agree. I like Colorado here. Like Iowa State cannot generate a pass rush. They're incapable of doing it. And then they lost 2 Big 12 all caliber corners for the year. You saw that against Cincinnati, and they couldn't get stopped. So you can't get pressure on Salter. They have talent enough receivers. They got their run game going last week. I think Colorado gets it done. Yep. So moneyline parlay, Colorado and Wisconsin. Make sure you go and play that at Draftkings. All right. That'll do it for us. Quick recap. Agree board. Colorado State, Arkansas, Kent State, Georgia State. Oh, God. These are ugly. Bowling Green and Missouri. Head-to-head, I have Oregon State, you have Wake. I have Sparta, you have UCLA. Trash, BG, Oregon State, Georgia State, and Kent State. It's a loaded board. No one can read my chicken shit doctor handwriting anyway.
You got Oregon State on this board. Whew.
Oregon State, baby. Beavers. Going to get it done. That'll do it for us. Thanks to Colin for joining me. Thanks to our producer, David, on the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. 959 Bad Beat. Make sure you call in, yell at me, Colin, about all of our bad calls, or just yell about some of your bad beats or whatever you want to tell us about. They'll be featured on the episode that we put out Sunday night. They'll be ready by Monday morning. If you want to tell some of the bets we discussed, again, look for the quick slip link in the video and podcast description or visit actionnetwork.com/bet now. Group of 5 guys, make sure you check out their episode. Comes out on Wednesdays. We'll always be out on Thursdays. Live show Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. That'll do it for us. Let's have a big weekend. Good luck on all of your wagers. We'll catch you all on Saturday. Cheers.
Peace out.